My name is Madeline Cross. I'm 36 years old. And I didn't know the moment my life would crack down, the center would arrive so quietly, on an ordinary weekday, under the soft lie of a normal work schedule. It was Tuesday, the kind of day that should have ended with leftovers, a shower, and maybe 10 minutes of mindless TV before sleep. Instead, it ended with me standing in the doorway of my own bedroom, watching my marriage collapse in real time. The project deadline got pushed. That sentence, so harmless on the surface, was the reason I came home early. At 2 p.m., my boss actually told us to go home. Not work from home, not stay online just in case. Go home. I remember packing my laptop into my bag with this strange, guilty feeling, like I was stealing time from a machine that never stopped demanding more. I even texted Derek, me, heading home early, deadline moved, want me to grab anything? No reply. Not unusual, he'd been busy lately. Busy became his favorite word in the last 2 months. Busy meant late dinners. Busy meant phone face down. Busy meant showers the second he walked in. Busy meant his eyes never fully meeting mine when I asked simple questions like, "How was your day?" I told myself it was stress. Marketing campaigns are intense, he'd said. New leadership, higher expectations, a big launch. He sounded almost proud when he said it, like the exhaustion was proof he mattered. And maybe once I would have admired that devotion, but lately it hadn't felt like devotion. It felt like absence. I got home around 2:45 p.m., and the first thing I saw was Derek's car in the driveway. My hand froze on the steering wheel. A cold dot of confusion formed under my ribs. He wasn't supposed to be home until after 7. I told myself a dozen explanations in the time it took to step out of the car. Maybe he forgot something. Maybe he got sick. Maybe he came home to surprise me. That last thought almost made me smile. God, I was still that naive. I walked through the front door and immediately felt it. The atmosphere inside the house was wrong. Not messy wrong. Not dangerous wrong. Just charged, like the air itself had been holding its breath. My heels clicked across the entryway. "Derek," I called. No answer. Then I heard it. A sound upstairs. Soft, rhythmic, interrupted by a muffled gasp. My stomach dropped so fast it was like gravity rewrote itself. My brain tried to protect me for half a second. Maybe the TV is on. Maybe he's exercising. Maybe... No, it wasn't the TV, and it wasn't exercise. It was the kind of sound you don't misinterpret unless you're lying to yourself. And I wasn't lying. Not anymore. I climbed the stairs slowly. Each step felt like walking deeper into someone else's life. Halfway up, I could hear it more clearly. A voice, female. Not Derek's voice alone. Not my voice. A woman I didn't recognize at first, until my mind flicked through memory like a desperate filing cabinet. Holiday party. 6 months ago. Derek had introduced me to his new VP with that tense, polished smile. "This is Vanessa King," he'd said. She was stunning in a way that felt manufactured. Sleek hair, confident posture, the kind of woman who looked like she'd never once begged anyone for anything. Vanessa had shaken my hand firmly. "Madeline," she'd said, smiling like she knew something I didn't. "I've heard so much about you." At the time, I'd thought it was just workplace politeness. Now, as I stood outside my bedroom door, hearing her voice inside it, I understood what that smile had been. Not friendliness, ownership. The bedroom door was closed. That alone was enough to make my hands go cold, because Derek never closed doors. He left drawers half open, closet doors gaping, cabinet doors swinging. I was the one who liked things neat. I was the one who shut things. So seeing our bedroom door fully closed felt like walking up to a crime scene with your name on the tape. The noises continued. I stared at the door for 2 seconds too long, as if staring could rewrite reality. Then I reached for the knob. I twisted it and pushed. There are moments the body remembers before the mind can label them. My heartbeat didn't speed up. It stopped. My lungs didn't inhale. They forgot how. The room smelled like sweat and perfume and something sharp, like my own betrayal had a scent. Derek was in our bed. Our bed. The one we picked together. The one I'd washed the sheets for 3 days ago. He was naked. So was Vanessa. And they weren't scrambling away from each other. They were in the middle of it. My husband, had his hands on her hips like he belonged there. Vanessa had her head thrown back like she was enjoying not just him, but what he represented. What she was taking. My life, my home, my dignity. Vanessa screamed first. High, sharp, offended, as if I was the intruder. Derek jerked like he'd been shot and immediately grabbed the sheet. "Maddie, why are you home?" His voice cracked on the last word. Like he couldn't decide if he wanted to be angry at me or terrified of me. I didn't answer immediately. I just stood there, watching, studying, because when something breaks this suddenly, the mind becomes very quiet. It doesn't scream. It records. Vanessa fumbled for clothing, like her confidence couldn't survive daylight. Derek's hands were shaking. His face turned red, then pale, then red again. Like his body was cycling through every emotion faster than his morals ever had. Finally, I spoke. I live here. That was all I said. Not how could you. Not, are you insane? Not what is wrong with you. Just a simple fact. I live here. Vanessa stared at me like I was something inconvenient. Derek's mouth opened, closed. Then Vanessa, lifted her chin and said, breathless but smug, it's not what you think. Derek clung to that sentence like a lifeline. Yeah, Maddie, listen, this is just... Vanessa cut in, voice turning smooth. A strategy meeting. I blinked once. A strategy meeting. In my bed. Naked. With my husband. My eyes moved from her to Derek. Derek swallowed hard, as if he expected me to explode, as if he expected tears, as if he expected to still be able to manipulate me. But something in me had gone quiet and cold and crystal clear. Oh, I said softly. Their shoulders loosened, just slightly, because they thought it worked. They thought I was going to be confused enough to doubt myself. Then I smiled. Not warm, not kind, just controlled. You're right, I said. I turned toward the door. I should let you finish your meeting. Derek's eyes widened. Maddie, wait. I stepped into the hallway, closed the door behind me, and then, with my hand steady as if I were locking up for the night, I slid the old metal bolt on the outside of the door. Click. A final sound, like a coffin closing. At first there was silence. Then, bang. The door shook. What are you doing? Derek yelled. Bang, bang. Vanessa's voice pierced through, sharp and panicked. Open this door right now. I leaned close enough for my voice to carry through the wood. Don't mind me, I said calmly. Just giving you privacy. Derek's voice cracked. Maddie, seriously, open it. I walked away. Down the stairs. Into the kitchen. And I picked up my phone, because if they wanted to call it a strategy meeting, then I was going to invite the only person who truly deserved to attend, Vanessa King's husband. I opened social media, typed her name. Took me less than 2 minutes. Her profile was polished, curated, powerful. And there he was, Aaron King, smiling beside her in every photo, like a man who didn't realize he was standing next to the knife in his back. I found his number through a mutual professional connection. My hands never shook. Not once. When the phone rang, I stared out my living room window like my life was happening to someone else. He picked up. Hello? I inhaled once. Then I said the sentence that would set fire to every lie in this house. Hi, is this Aaron King, Vanessa's husband? A pause. Yes, who is this? I swallowed. I'm Madeline Cross, I said. I'm Derek's wife. Another pause. Suspicion forming. And then I finished. I'm calling because your wife is in my bedroom right now. Naked. With my husband. And they're locked inside. Silence. Deep, heavy silence. Then Aaron's voice turned low. What did you just say? I looked up at the ceiling, because I could still hear them upstairs, pounding, screaming, unraveling. And I said very calmly, I thought you might want to come join their strategy meeting. The pounding upstairs got louder after the call. Like Derek and Vanessa could feel the moment I stopped being a woman caught off guard and became a woman making choices. Derek's voice came through the door in broken bursts. Maddie, please, open it. This is insane. Vanessa's was sharper, more controlled, even panicked. If you don't open this door, I'm calling the police. This is unlawful. I walked into the living room and sat down on the couch. I didn't cry. That was the part that scared me later, when I had time to think. Because crying would have meant I still believed my marriage had something worth mourning. In that moment, all I felt was a clean, strange emptiness, like my body had already moved on and my mind was just catching up. I turned the TV on. The volume wasn't loud enough to drown them out, but it gave my hands something to do, something normal, something absurd. Upstairs, my husband was trapped in our bedroom with the woman he'd chosen over me, and downstairs, a game show host was smiling at the camera like the world still made sense. I stared at the screen without seeing it. 13 minutes passed. Then the doorbell rang. I didn't jump. I stood, smoothed my shirt like I was answering the door for a neighbor, and walked to the entryway. When I opened it, a man stood there with fury and terror battling in his eyes. Aaron King. He looked put together, like the kind of man who wore good shoes even on a random weekday. But his face was draining of color as he looked past me into my home. He didn't even greet me. Where are they? He asked, voice tight. I stepped aside. Upstairs, I said, our bedroom. He didn't wait for an invitation. He walked in like a storm given human form. I followed, closing the door behind us. He moved fast up the stairs, taking them two at a time, and I realized something as I watched him. Aaron wasn't here to ask questions. He was here because some part of him had already known. Because men like Derek don't suddenly get sloppy. They get brave. And you don't get brave unless you believe the person at home is too blind to see it. Aaron stopped outside the bedroom door. The bolt was still slid tight. Inside, Derek and Vanessa went silent the moment they heard footsteps, like they recognized the weight of another person's presence. Aaron leaned close, his hand lifting to knock. Then he paused, like he didn't trust himself not to break the door down. He looked at me. His throat bobbed when he swallowed. "Is it true?" he asked, quieter now. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't soften it. "They were in bed," I said, naked, in the middle of it. Aaron's jaw clenched so hard I saw the muscle jump. Then he knocked once, controlled. "Vanessa," he said. A beat. Then Vanessa's voice came, too high. "Aaron?" Aaron's laugh came out sharp and humorless. "So it's true," he said, then louder. "Open the door." From inside, Derek's voice cracked. "Aaron, listen, this is—" "A strategy meeting," Aaron cut in. That was the first time I heard it in his voice. Not confusion. Not denial. That sick, disbelieving disgust, like the words themselves insulted him. I saw Vanessa's shadow shift under the door. Then her tone changed. Her VP tone, the one used to controlling rooms. "Aaron, please, this isn't what it looks like. We can explain." Aaron stepped back from the door and looked at me again. "I need to see it," he said. I nodded once. Then I reached forward, and with the same calm I'd used to lock them in, I slid the bolt open. Click. Aaron grabbed the handle and yanked. The door flew open. The scene inside was almost worse now, because they'd had time. Time to put on clothes. Time to decide their first lie. Derek sat on the far edge of the bed in his boxer briefs, hair wild, hands clasped like he was praying. Vanessa sat on the other side, fully dressed now. Blazer back on, blouse buttoned, makeup touched up like she could paint professionalism over adultery. They looked like two children called into the principal's office. But there was nothing childish about what they'd done. Aaron stood in the doorway staring. He didn't move for 3 seconds. Then he laughed. Not warmly. Not with humor. It was a sound that crawled out of him like something dying. "A strategy meeting," he said, repeating it like a curse. Vanessa rose slowly, palms slightly lifted. "Aaron, please." Aaron's eyes snapped to her. "Don't," he said, so low it made the room colder. "Don't start with your practice speeches. Not in front of her, not in her house." Vanessa's lips parted, but no words came out. Derek tried. "Aaron, man, this isn't—" Aaron turned toward him like Derek was a bug he'd just noticed. "Don't call me that," Aaron said. "You're not my friend. You're not even a man I respect." Derek flinched. And that was the first time I saw it clearly. Derek had always been charming when he wanted something. But under pressure, he was weak. He wasn't brave enough to own what he did. He wasn't even brave enough to admit it to the people he hurt. He just wanted someone to rescue him from consequences. Aaron stepped into the room. He looked at Vanessa like he was seeing her for the first time. "You told me you were at a client meeting," he said. Vanessa's eyes darted, just once, to Derek, like she was calculating whether to throw him under the bus. Then she spoke carefully. "I was going to tell you—" "No," Aaron said, "you weren't." His voice was steady now. That kind of steady that comes after something inside you finally breaks. "You've been lying to me for months," he continued, "and now you're lying in her bed while you do it." Vanessa swallowed. "Aaron, please, this was a mistake." "A mistake." The word floated in the air like perfume overwrought. Aaron's gaze sharpened. "Mistake?" he repeated. "A mistake is a wrong turn. A mistake is forgetting something. This is a choice." He pointed at Derek without looking at him. "And you," he said, "are trash in someone else's house." Derek's face went bright red. I almost expected him to stand, to fight, to defend himself. But he just sat there, hoping the storm would pass. Aaron turned back to Vanessa. "Pack your things," he said. "Now." Vanessa's eyes widened. "What, Aaron? Stop. We can talk about this privately." "I am talking about it," Aaron said. "Right now. In the only place you've been honest today." Vanessa's mouth trembled, but her spine stayed stiff. She hated losing control. I could see that. And that hatred was stronger than shame. Aaron pulled his phone out, thumb moving fast. "I'm calling my lawyer," he said. "You're done." Vanessa took a step forward. "Aaron, please, think about what you're doing." Aaron finally looked at her fully, eyes flat. "I am," he said, for the first time in a long time. He turned slightly toward me. "I'm divorcing her," he said, "and I'm taking everything I can. House, cars, savings, everything." I nodded, because what else could I do? The strangest part was, I believed him, because Aaron didn't sound like a man posturing. He sounded like a man who had nothing left to lose. Then he added quieter, almost like advice. "You should do the same with him." Derek's head snapped toward me. And there it was. That look. Not guilt. Not love. Fear. Fear that he was about to lose the safety net he'd always assumed would hold. "Maddie," he whispered, "please don't do this." I stared at him. The bed behind him looked wrong now. Not because of what happened in it, but because he was sitting there like he still belonged. "You need to pack your things," I said. Derek's eyes filled with tears. "Where am I supposed to go?" I didn't flinch. Not my problem anymore. His breath hitched. He looked like he expected me to soften. Like he expected me to remember birthdays and inside jokes and the way he used to kiss my forehead when I was tired. But all I could see was him naked in this bed with a woman who wasn't me. All I could hear was the word strategy, as if betrayal could be rebranded into something respectable. Derek slid off the bed, reaching for his pants. "Maddie, can we just talk, please? Just give me 10 minutes. "No," I said, voice quiet but final. "You have 1 hour." Vanessa made a small sound, almost a scoff, like she was annoyed at the inconvenience. Aaron's head turned sharply. "Don't," he warned her. Vanessa's jaw tightened. Aaron stepped toward the door. "You," he said to Vanessa, "are coming with me. Right now. We're going home so you can start packing. And if you try to disappear, I'll report the car stolen because it's in my name." Vanessa froze. For the first time, she looked trapped. Not by a bolt. By a man who finally stopped believing her. She grabbed her purse with stiff fingers. Aaron turned to me again. "Keep everything," he said. "Photos, messages, anything. My lawyer will want copies." "I already have them," I said. Aaron's eyes flickered, grateful for a fraction of a second. Then he looked at Derek one last time, like Derek was nothing. He walked out. Vanessa followed, heels clicking like angry punctuation. At the top of the stairs, Vanessa stopped. She looked back at Derek, then at me. Her smile was thin. "This isn't over," she said. Aaron didn't even turn around. He just said, without emotion, "It's over." And they left. Derek stood in the middle of the room like someone had removed the floor under him. He looked at me again, voice shaking. "Maddie, I swear, it was just—" I lifted a hand. "Don't," I said, because I knew what he was going to say next. It meant nothing. It was stress. It was one time. It was a mistake. And I knew something else, too. If I let him speak, he'd try to rewrite the story until I doubted my own eyes. So I kept the story clean. He cheated. I caught him. He leaves. That's it. I turned away from him and walked out of the room. Behind me, he whispered, broken, "I'm sorry." I didn't answer. I went downstairs, picked up my phone, and called the only person who mattered now. A lawyer. Because love didn't protect me anymore. Paper did. The house went quiet after Derek left. Not peaceful quiet. The kind of quiet that presses against your ears until you realize how much noise you've been living with without noticing. I stood in the kitchen for a long time after the front door closed behind him. No crying, no screaming, no dramatic collapse to the floor like in movies. Just stillness. I remember thinking, this is what the end sounds like. The lawyer called me back around 7 p.m. I sat on the couch with my feet tucked under me, phone pressed to my ear, listening as I explained everything in a voice that didn't sound like my own. He didn't interrupt. He didn't gasp. He didn't ask if I was okay. When I finished, he said calmly, "Document everything. Change the locks. Separate finances. And do not speak to him without me present." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Okay. At 9 p.m., a locksmith arrived. $200. Worth every cent. When the new lock clicked into place, something inside my chest loosened just a little. That night, I slept on the couch. Not because I couldn't go upstairs, but because I didn't want to. The next morning, my phone exploded. Derek called 32 times. Voicemails stacked up like a grotesque emotional slideshow. The first few were sobbing apologies. "I'm so sorry, Maddie. I wasn't thinking. Please call me back." Then anger. "You trapped us. That was insane. You embarrassed me." Then bargaining. "Let's talk like adults. We can fix this." Then blame. "You ruined my career. You went too far." I didn't answer a single one. I forwarded every voicemail to my lawyer. By noon, the text started. 87 of them by the end of the day. The emotional whiplash was impressive, honestly. One message said he loved me. The next said I was cruel. One said I overreacted. Another said I destroyed our marriage by refusing to communicate. That one almost made me laugh. "You destroyed our marriage when you slept with your boss in our bed." But I didn't reply. Not yet. Day 2, Wednesday. I was making coffee when my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it. Something told me not to. "Hello?" I said. "Madeline," a man's voice said. "It's Aaron." I leaned against the counter. "Hi." He sounded tired. The kind of tired that comes after adrenaline wears off and reality settles in. "I wanted to ask you something," he said carefully. "Do you have any evidence? Photos? Anything from that day?" Yes, I said without hesitation. I took pictures, timestamps and metadata included. There was a pause, then a slow exhale. Thank you, he said. My lawyer will want copies. I'll send them. I appreciate it, he added. I'd been suspicious for months. She convinced me I was paranoid. I closed my eyes. That's what they do, I said quietly. She's going after me hard, Aaron continued. House, savings, everything. But I make more than her, and my lawyer's better. I believed him, because men like Aaron didn't bluff when they were done. After we hung up, I sent the files to his lawyer. Then I deleted nothing. That afternoon, Derek's sister called. I stared at the screen for a full 10 seconds before answering. What? I said, not hello? Her voice cracked immediately. Maddie, you need to take him back. I blinked. No. He made a mistake, she said quickly. He's devastated. He's not eating. He's not sleeping. He made a choice, I said, multiple ones. You're being heartless, she snapped. You trapped them in that room like some kind of psycho. I felt something flicker then. Not anger. Clarity. How long? I asked. Silence. How long has he been sleeping with her? I repeated. Another pause. Then softer. 6 weeks. She gasped, as if she hadn't meant to say it. I smiled without humor. 6 weeks, I echoed. Good to know. She didn't tell you? The sister asked, panic creeping in. No, I said. She told me nothing. Just like he told you nothing. She started crying. He needs you. You're his wife. I inhaled slowly. I stopped being his wife when he slept with his boss in my bed. That's not fair. Mistakes are forgetting to pick up milk, I said. Adultery is a decision. She called me cruel, vindictive, cold. I hung up and blocked the number. Day 3, Thursday. My lawyer called, laughing. Actually laughing. Her initial divorce demands just came in, he said. They're ambitious. I closed my eyes. Hit me. She wants half the house, alimony for 5 years, half your retirement accounts, and the car. I laughed then, too. The sound surprised me. That house is in my name, I said. Bought before we married. I know, my lawyer said. She has no grounds. Adultery, proof, termination for cause. She's getting nothing close to that. What about the car? Title in your name? Yes, I was paying it off as a gift. Never transferred it. Then it's yours. Stop making payments. I didn't hesitate. I called the loan company that afternoon. Canceled the auto pay. That car would be repossessed from her sister's driveway in about 2 weeks if he didn't take over payments. He couldn't. He'd just lost his job. That happened Thursday, too. HR called him in. Vanessa's husband had made some calls. Connections on the board. Vanessa was fired for inappropriate workplace relationships and creating a hostile work environment. Derek followed the same day. Termination for cause. Violation of ethics policies. Derek called me from a different number, screaming, You got me fired. You destroyed my life. I listened until he ran out of breath. Then I said calmly, I didn't sleep with anyone at your workplace. You did. He hung up, called back 3 minutes later, crying, begging, saying he couldn't find another job with a termination like that on his record. I told him to talk to his lawyer friend, and hung up. By Friday, I was exhausted. Not sad, not angry, just tired in a way that sank into my bones. My lawyer called again. We're filing our response Monday, he said. Full ownership of the house, car, retirement accounts. She pays her own legal fees. Will we get it? I asked. Most of it, he said. The evidence is overwhelming. That night, Derek's sister called again from another number. I didn't answer. Blocked it. She tried twice more. Blocked those too. I sat alone in my living room, lights off, city glow bleeding through the windows. And for the first time since Tuesday afternoon, I realized something strange. I wasn't missing him. I was missing the version of my life I thought I had. And that version didn't exist anymore. By Monday morning, Derek stopped calling. That was how I knew something inside him had finally broken. Not remorse, not accountability. Hope. Hope that this could still be spun into something survivable. The silence didn't last. It never does. At 9:18 a.m., my phone buzzed with a notification from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't answer. A voicemail followed. Maddie, it's me. Please don't hang up if I call again. HR fired me. They said it was for cause. They said my name is going to be flagged internally. I let the message end. Then another. I didn't even get to explain. They already had everything. Emails, calendar logs, security footage. She told them first, didn't she? Vanessa's husband, he did this. You let him do this. I stared at the wall across from me, phone in my lap. I felt nothing. That scared me more than rage would have. At 10:02, he called again. This time I answered. What? I said. He inhaled sharply, like he'd been holding his breath since the moment I picked up. I lost my job, he said. My career. Do you understand what that means? Yes, I said. It means actions have consequences. You set this up, he snapped. You called her husband. You humiliated them. You destroyed everything. I leaned back in my chair. Derek, I said quietly, I came home early and found you naked in our bed with your boss. Everything that happened after that was already in motion. I just stopped protecting you from it. He started crying. Not soft crying. Ugly, panicked sobs. I can't find another job with this on my record, he said. No one will hire me. Maddie, I need you to fix this. Fix this. Like I was IT support for his life. I can't, I said. And even if I could, I wouldn't. Silence. Then anger, sharp and desperate. You're enjoying this, he accused. You like watching me fall. I closed my eyes. No, I said. I'm just not cushioning the landing anymore. I hung up. That afternoon, my lawyer forwarded me an update. Repossession notice scheduled. I stared at the email for a long time. Not with satisfaction, with acceptance. Because the car wasn't the punishment. The entitlement was. He'd driven that car for years, like it was his right. Paid for with my money, justified by his promises, defended by my love. Now it was just a vehicle with a title. And the title wasn't his. Wednesday, Derek showed up at the house. I saw him through the door camera before he rang the bell. He looked smaller, like the world had shrunk him. Hair unwashed, hoodie wrinkled, the posture of someone bracing for impact. I didn't open the door. He knocked anyway. Maddie, he called. Please, I just want to talk. I stayed where I was. He knocked harder. I know you're home. I checked the timestamp on the camera feed. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Then he sat down on the front steps. I watched him from my phone like he was a stranger loitering outside my life. Eventually, he left. An hour later, I got a message from his sister. Different number. Again. You've gone too far. He has nothing left. I typed once, then deleted it, then blocked the number. Thursday, Vanessa was officially terminated. Erin texted me once. It's done. She's out. Then later, she tried to say it was harassment. HR pulled footage. Lunch meetings. Conference rooms. It's over. I read the messages twice. Vanessa King, the woman who'd smiled at me across a cocktail table like she already owned something of mine, was now unemployed, exposed, and legally cornered. Derek texted me again that night. Another new number. I don't know how to live like this. I stared at the words until they blurred. Then I replied with the truth, stripped of emotion. You should talk to a therapist. He responded instantly. I can't afford one. I put the phone down. Because I wasn't his safety net anymore. I wasn't his emergency contact. I wasn't his solution. Friday night, his mother came. I didn't know it was her at first. She knocked for 20 minutes. Cried loudly enough that I could hear it through the door. I watched through the camera again. A woman clutching her purse like a shield, shoulders shaking, face red with grief and indignation. She left a note taped to my door. You're breaking my son's heart. Is your pride worth his life? Please call him. He loves you. I folded the paper once, then threw it away. By the end of the week, the narrative had shifted. Not quietly, violently. Derek wasn't the husband who cheated anymore. He was the man who lost everything. And people like stories where consequences feel unfair, especially when the person suffering is loud about their pain. But here's the truth no one wanted to say out loud. Derek didn't lose everything because I locked a door. He lost everything because he opened one he shouldn't have. And for the first time since this started, I felt something close to resolve. Not vengeance, not joy, just the solid understanding that I was done being the person who absorbed the damage so others could pretend nothing happened. He came back the following Monday. Not with apologies, not with flowers, with a locksmith. I was in the kitchen when my phone buzzed with a motion alert. Front door. I opened the app and felt my jaw tighten. Derek stood on my porch, hands shoved into his hoodie pockets, eyes darting. Beside him was a middle-aged man with a tool bag, shifting uncomfortably like he already knew he was in the wrong place. I didn't open the door. I watched. The locksmith knocked once, then again. Finally, Derek leaned close to the door and spoke loudly, like volume could substitute for legitimacy. Maddie, I still have rights. We're still married. I stayed silent. The locksmith glanced at Derek. Sir, he said, loud enough for the camera mic to catch, I can't do anything without proof. Is your name on the deed or the lease? Derek hesitated. I live here. That's not what I asked, the locksmith said, tone firm but polite. I need documentation. Derek's shoulders sagged. I don't have it on me. The locksmith closed his bag. Then I can't help you. He left without another word. Derek stood there, stunned, like he'd expected the world to bend for him one more time. It didn't. He sat down on the front steps and stayed there for 3 hours. I went about my day, answered emails, joined a meeting, made lunch. Every so often, I checked the camera. He didn't move. Like if he stayed long enough, I'd remember who he used to be. Around 4:30 p.m., I called the police. Not out of anger, out of necessity. When the officer arrived, Derek jumped up like a child called to the principal's office. "This is my house too," he insisted. "We're still married." The officer was calm. "Ma'am," he said to me through the door after checking records, "your name is the only one on the property. He has no legal right to enter without your permission." He turned back to Derek. "Sir, you need to leave." Derek's face crumpled. "I have nowhere to go." The officer didn't soften. "That's not her responsibility. Leave, or you'll be arrested for trespassing." Derek screamed, cried, accused me of abuse. The officer waited. Derek finally left, yelling as he walked down the street like the neighborhood was his jury. The temporary hearing happened that Thursday. Derek arrived looking like a shadow of himself. No confidence, no charm. Just desperation stitched into sweatpants. His lawyer friend sat beside him, rifling through papers, like he was reading a language he didn't understand. My lawyer didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Photos, timestamps, voicemails, termination records, witness statements from Aaron. The judge listened, then turned to Derek. "Do you dispute committing adultery in the marital home with your employer?" Derek cried. "No." That was it. Immediate sole possession of the house to me, the car to me, joint accounts frozen, a temporary restraining order, 100 feet. Derek tried to follow me out of the courtroom. My lawyer stepped between us. "Sir," he said calmly, "you're already in violation." Derek stopped, watched me walk away. And for the first time, he looked like he understood something permanent had happened. That night, a message came from an unknown number. "I hope you're happy. You destroyed everything." I replied once. "You destroyed it. I just stopped cleaning up after you." Blocked. The final hearing happened 3 months later. By then, the chaos had burned itself out. There were no more surprise calls, no more strangers knocking on my door, no more new numbers lighting up my phone with the same recycled guilt. Just paperwork, deadlines, and the strange calm that comes when a storm realizes it no longer has anything left to tear apart. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, almost disappointingly ordinary. Wood benches, fluorescent lights, a clock that ticked too loudly. Derek sat at the opposite table. He looked thinner, older, like stress had finally settled into his bones instead of bouncing off his charm. His sister sat behind him, arms crossed, eyes burning into the back of my head like I was the villain in her favorite tragedy. His mother wasn't there. I heard later she couldn't bear to watch. I didn't feel anything about that. Not relief. Not satisfaction. Just distance. My lawyer spoke first. He laid everything out cleanly, methodically, like this wasn't the end of a marriage, just a sequence of facts that led to an inevitable conclusion. Adultery in the marital home, employment termination for cause, documented evidence, attempts at harassment, violation of boundaries. The judge listened, asked a few questions, then turned to Derek. "Do you have anything to say before I rule?" Derek stood slowly. His voice shook. "I made a terrible mistake," he said. "I never meant to hurt her. I just want a chance to fix this." The judge's expression didn't change. "Do you dispute the affair?" "No." "Do you dispute that it occurred in the marital home?" "No." "Do you dispute your termination for cause?" "No." The judge nodded once, then ruled. "I got the house, the car, all retirement accounts. 80% of our savings. Derek got 20% of the savings, about $4,000, and his personal belongings. No alimony." The judge was explicit. Adultery and termination for cause negate any claim to spousal support. The consequences you're experiencing are the result of your own actions. Derek's lawyer friend tried to speak. The judge cut him off. "This court is not here to protect someone from the foreseeable outcomes of their decisions." The gavel hit. It was done. Derek tried to approach me afterward. My lawyer stepped in front of him immediately. "Communication goes through counsel," he said. Derek stopped, looked at me like he was searching for something. Closure, forgiveness, permission to hate me less. I gave him nothing. Later that evening, one final text came through. "I'll never forgive you for what you did." I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied, "You don't have to. We're done here." Blocked. Aaron called me a week later. His divorce had finalized too. Vanessa lost the house, most of their assets, her reputation. She was moving out of state, starting over somewhere no one knew her. "Thank you," Aaron said, "for calling me that day." "You deserve to know," I said. "So did you." We wished each other well. And that was that. The house feels different now. Lighter. I sold most of the furniture Derek insisted on. Repainted the bedroom. Got rid of the color he loved and I tolerated. It's gray now. Calm. Neutral. Mine. I picked up hobbies I'd let slip. Started playing guitar again. Joined a local fitness class. Work got easier once I stopped carrying someone else's chaos home with me. 2 months after the divorce finalized, I got the promotion I'd been circling for years. The one I kept missing because I was always fixing something that wasn't my responsibility. People ask if I regret how I handled it. The door, the phone call, the fallout. The answer is no. Could I have left quietly? Filed papers. Avoided the spectacle? Sure. But then Derek would have rewritten the story. Vanessa's husband would have stayed in the dark. And I would have been asked, again, to absorb the damage so everyone else could stay comfortable. I didn't go too far. I went far enough. I didn't ruin anyone's life. I stopped protecting them from the consequences of their own choices. And for the first time in years, I sleep deeply. The house is quiet. The drama is gone. And the life I'm building now? It's honest. It's stable. And it's finally mine.